Malaysia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has sent diplomatic notes to all countries involved in the search and rescue operation. This includes two groups. First, countries in the search corridors, and second, countries from which we are seeking assistance and expertise. For countries in the search corridors, we are requesting radar and satellite information, as well as specific assets for the search and rescue operation. We are asking them to share their land, sea, and aerial search, also action plans, rescue action plans, with the Rescue Coordination Center here in Malaysia, so that we can coordinate the search efforts. We have asked for regular updates, including daily reports on both search activities and details of any information required from Malaysia. We are not at liberty to reveal information from specific countries. As the coordinating authority, we are gathering all information as part of the ongoing search and rescue operation. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 48 hours, Malaysia has been working on the diplomatic, technical, and logistical requirements of the search for MH370. The number of countries involved in the search and rescue operation has increased to 26. Malaysia continues to lead the overall coordination of the search effort. The southern corridor has been divided into two sections according to the International Civil Aviation Organization demarcation. These demarcations were agreed by the ICAO, of which Malaysia is a council member, before MH370 went missing. Australia and Indonesia have agreed to lead search and rescue operations in their respective regions as demarcated by ICAO. Today I can confirm that search and rescue operations in the northern and southern corridors have already begun. Countries including Malaysia, Australia, China, Indonesia, Kazakhstan have already initiated search and rescue operations. The Royal Malaysian Air Force and the Royal Malaysian Navy have deployed assets to the southern corridor. Two Malaysian ships have been deployed, the offshore patrol vessel KD Kelantan and KD Selangor. This deployment also includes a Super Lynx helicopter, which can operate from either ship. Australia has already moved a P-3 Orion aircraft to the region of Cocos and Christmas Islands, and today the Prime Minister of Australia confirmed that Australia will send an additional two P-3 Orion and a C-130 Hercules. A US P-8 Poseidon aircraft will be traveling to Perth today to help with the search. Malaysia has been working with international investigators and aviation authorities since day one. Yesterday, experts from Civil Aviation Administration of China joined the investigation team. Today, officials from the French Office of Investigations and Analysis for the Safety of Civil Aviation also joined the team. These authorities are working with Malaysian Airlines and the DCA to refine data that can help with the search. On Saturday, 8th of March, the Royal Malaysian Police started investigations into all crew members on board MH370, including the pilot and co-pilot, as well as all ground staff handling the aircraft. On Sunday, 9th March, police officers visited the homes of the pilot and the co-pilot. Officers also spoke to the family members of the pilot and the co-pilot. Police visited the homes of the pilot and co-pilot again on Saturday, the 15th of March. The pilot's flight simulator was taken from his house with the assistance of his family. The simulator was reassembled at the police headquarters. At this point, I would like to stress that Malaysia has been cooperating with the FBI, Interpol, and other relevant international law enforcement authorities since day one. I would also like to address the speculation that Malaysia has held back information about the MH370 movements. For the families, I understand that every day prolongs their anguish. I understand because Malaysia too is missing its sons and daughters. There were 50 Malaysians on board the plane. Our priority has always been to find the aircraft. We would not withhold any information that could help, but we also have a responsibility not to release information until it has been verified by the international investigation teams. This responsibility is not only to the families and to the investigation, but also to the search and rescue operations. It would be irresponsible to deploy substantial assets merely on the basis of unverified and uncorroborated information. As soon as the possibility emerged that the plane had carried out an air turn back to the Straits of Malacca, we expanded our search to that area. I would like to reiterate the US investigating team's statement about that decision. Based on the information and data given by the Malaysian authorities, the US team was of the view that there were reasonable grounds for the Malaysian authorities to deploy resources to conduct search on the western side of peninsular Malaysia. As soon as we verified and corroborated the new satellite information as to the possible last known whereabouts of the aircraft, we recalibrated our search efforts to the northern and southern corridors as announced by the Prime Minister. After my statement, we will release a more detailed map of the northern and southern corridor, which looks something like this. Malaysia Airlines has set up operation centers in both Kuala Lumpur and Beijing to care for the families of the crew members and passengers. MAS has allocated each family a caregiver who will be on 24-hour duty. They have sent more than 100 staff and caregivers to Beijing. The airline gives daily briefings to the families. They provide counseling sessions, and they contact families that have elected not to come to Malaysia between 2 or 3 times a day. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 2 days, we have been recalibrating the search for MH370. It remains a significant diplomatic, technical, and logistical challenge. Malaysia is encouraged by the progress made during such a short period of time, and we are grateful for the response by the heads of governments that we have spoken to, all of whom have expressed a commitment of assistance. With support from our many international partners, this new phase of the search is underway. Assets are being deployed, and search and rescue operations have begun. And I wish to thank our partners from around the world for their continued support. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Q&A session. We'll start from this corner. Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Adil from RTM Radio. Okay, I got 2 questions here. First question is, setakat ni berapa buah negara di kedua-dua koridor pencarian itu yang telah respon kepada nota diplomatik yang kita hantar? Dan satu lagi, hari ini Daily Mail telah menyiarkan footage CCTV di KLA menunjukkan kedua-dua pilot MH370 diperiksa badan mereka sewaktu menempati garisan keselamatan.
Terima kasih. Soalan pertama tadi, bila kita menghantar diplomatic notes kepada negara-negara yang terlibat dalam dua-dua koridor tersebut, kita baru menghantar pagi tadi secara verbal daripada 14 negara yang kita hantar, kita telah menerima kebanyakannya daripada mereka, hampir lebih daripada separuh sudah pun kita terima. InsyaAllah saya rasa semuanya akan dapat memberi sokongan dan juga asisten daripada apa yang kita minta. Jadi masalah ini tidak akan timbul kerana kebanyakannya sudah setuju secara verbal. MS.
Local base, local.
MS.
This regarding the, I think the what you call the security tape about the pilots being checked at the security checkout. I think that's something that the security personnel of Malaysia Airport will have to respond to.
Dato', Sri dari Astrawali, ada tak dapat so far what's the forensic radar from countries northern corridor and also southern corridor, especially is there any radar received maklumat daripada Diego Garcia, and soalan kedua, berapa kos pencarian SIR setakat ini dan adakah akan beri reimbursement kepada negara-negara luar yang turut terlibat dalam SIR ini?
Dari segi kos, saya agak terharu kerana negara-negara yang terlibat tidak memikirkan kos yang terpaksa dibayai oleh mereka. Dari segi kos yang dibiayai oleh negara kita, itu pun tak menjadi pertimbangan. Setakat mana yang kita mampu, kita akan pastikan bahawa ianya dapat dipenuhi supaya matlamat utama kita iaitu untuk mencari dan mengesan pesawat dapat dikecapi. Berhubung dengan isu pertama tadi,
Radar. Sedangkan ada
dari segi maklumat, bukan saja dari segi radar tetapi satelit dan juga data berhubung kait dengan usaha pencarian kita menggunakan pesawat dan juga kapal-kapal yang ada. Kita dah umumkan tadi berapa negara yang terlibat dan kita belum sampai kepada tahap di mana saya mempunyai maklumat untuk dikongsikan bersama-sama dengan media hari ini.
Good evening, Dr. Sri. I'm Musudin from the Millennial Online. I would like to ask, is the investigation looking into pilot suicide for either the pilot or the co-pilot? And has the investigation revealed any personal problems or money problems that either of them have had?
The answer to the first question, yes, we're looking at it. And secondly, no, I cannot say for the moment.
Please pass mic to the back, please. Thank you.
Sri Asma from V3. Can you update us on simulated investigation?
All that I have is what the Tan Sri IGP indicated to us yesterday and what was reiterated in my statement today.
Okay, Sebastian. You are gentleman here. Correct.
Datuk Seri,
Ya.
saya kongsi daripada soalan semua. Nak tanya, bagaimana kita tahu radar tentera telah mengesan satu plot yang buat air back pada hari Sabtu pagi itu. Dan kita tahu radar tentera ini penting untuk kesan semua pergerakan udara sebab menjaga keselamatan negara. So soalan dia, mengapa ada tak pihak tentera mengapa tak ambil tindakan untuk semak pesawat itu? Dan jika tiada, ada tak tindakan kepada pegawai tentera yang bertugas pada hari kejadian?
Pertamanya maklumat daripada radar tentera saya dah nyatakan sebelum ini sensitif. Tetapi dalam kes ini kita ketepikan kepentingan keselamatan negara kerana untuk membantu mencari pesawat berkenaan. Dan hanya apabila maklumat itu dapat dikorporasikan dengan sah oleh agensi-agensi antarabangsa seperti FAA, NTSB, MAIB. Also, hanya apabila itu telah pun disahkan, ianya dimaklumkan kepada orang ramai. Dari segi tindakan tentera, apabila maklumat itu diperolehi, telah pun dinyatakan oleh pihak Panglima Tentera Udara bahawa mereka pada ketika itu tidak menganggapkan kapal terbang pesawat itu sebagai hostil.
Farhana daripada Bernama, untuk Cik Ahmad Jahari saya nak tanya, ada maklumat mengatakan pilot lain yang dijadualkan menerbangkan MH370 tapi tukar kepada Kapten Sahari pada tahun akhir. Adakah ini betul dan jika ya, kenapa dan oleh siapa? Dan Kapten Sahari juga dikatakan telah menjalani latihan penerbangan tanpa signal. Adakah di bawah kendaraan emas dan apa keperluannya?
Itu tak betul. Dia sebenarnya di roster seperti yang jadual.
Dr. Sri, memandangkan kita
Yes,
dah
Shadia, go ahead.
saya Syawal Ahmad daripada individu. Kita dah share maklumat-maklumat radar kita dengan negara lain. Kita juga minta maklumat-maklumat radar daripada negara lain juga dan kita beri kepada kita. Di mana letaknya keselamatan negara kita sekarang? Sedangkan maklumat-maklumat sensitif sekarang tu telah dikongsi.
Saya faham maksud soalan tadi dan memang melihat ke hadapan kita kena kaji semula kemampuan kita kerana sedikit sebanyak maklumat yang kita telah kongsi bersama dengan agensi-agensi siasatan tadi akan menjejaskan setakat ini, tetapi tak pada tahap yang membimbangkan. Tetapi untuk jangka masa yang panjang memang kita akan lihat semula kemampuan radar kita, dan ini setelah pun saya maklumkan kepada Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri kita. Itu kita lihat selepas fokus dan keutamaan kita iaitu untuk mencari dan mengesan pesawat berkenaan dapat dicapai dahulu.
Datuk Seri Sofi Ahmad daripada Bitarian. Datuk Seri, macam mana nak menangani spekulasi oleh media asing yang sedikit sebanyak dah memberikan impak negatif kepada negara kita?
Dengan menjawab setiap spekulasi dan dakwaan setiap hari seperti saya lakukan pada 5.5 hari-hari.
Okay, mengenai kargo, kita ada muatan mangosteen pergi ke negeri China. Kalau nak itu boleh kata konti banyak dalam, kalau tak silap dalam 3 ke 4 tan mangosteen.
Dari segi PDRM, kalau tak salah saya, Tan Sri IGP semalam telah pun menjawab bahawa peringkat awal tidak merasakan bahawa ada keperluan, tetapi dengan pendedahan terbaru di bahawa ACAS dan juga transponder telah dengan sengajanya ditutup, maka mereka kena lihat semula evidence yang ada. Itulah sebabnya mereka kembali ke rumah pilot dengan co-pilot. Tetapi saya nak tekankan di sini kerjasama daripada keluarga mereka, saya dimaklumkan cukup baik sekali.
Okay, please.
Datuk Seri,
Daripada mana tuan?
Henry Fuad daripada Urusan Melayu, Datuk Seri.
Ya.
Datuk Seri, adakah setakat ini masih kekal dengan pendirian bahawa pesawat itu memang dibawa oleh seorang dalam pesawat dan dilencongkan ke kawasan lain, berbanding dengan ada teori lain bahawa ada pihak lain yang tu mungkin dikontrol secara remote bukan oleh pilot sendiri, mungkin ada unsur-unsur yang lain
Dari segi remote saya rasa tak mungkin.
ataupun radar hijack sebagainya?
Itu saya rasa pun tak mungkin. Tetapi kalau sekiranya ada bukti dan maklumat yang boleh kita verify, ianya mesti disiasat. Keduanya, saya boleh mengesahkan bahawa ia terpaksa. Kita lihat dari segi fakta-fakta yang sedia ada, bukan saja daripada satu sumber, tetapi daripada pihak tentera, daripada DCA, disahkan oleh FAA dan juga NTSB. Maka apa yang diumumkan dan dimaklumkan oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri itulah merupakan apa yang kita pegang hari ini untuk melihat kepada operasi kita.
Yes, please.
Datuk Seri, dalam berita dalam kenyataan yang dikeluarkan hari ini oleh MOP, SIDANG dan TDM dikatakan koridor selatan.
Ya.
Adakah koridor selatan, barangkali MH370 berada dalam koridor selatan?
Tidak, dua-dua koridor itu merupakan tumpuan kita. Tetapi di selatan, koridor di sebelah selatan itu tidak mempunyai banyak negara yang terlibat. Sebab itu data daripada satelit, daripada radar yang kita dapat kerjasama daripada Amerika dan juga Australia merupakan sesuatu yang mungkin menjadi tumpuan hari ini. Tidak bermakna bahawa kita tidak memberi fokus yang sama kepada koridor di sebelah utara.
Okay, please, sir.
Datuk Seri, Zuril from the start, Datuk Seri. Have the investigator talked to the pilot, the other pilot who claimed to have heard pilot of MH370 mumbling?
Not that I know.
Yes, please.
Datuk Seri, Nurul Iman from MC.com. Can you, since the radar is said to be shaped off between the airspace of Vietnam and also Malaysia, how often do the pilot and co-pilot travel the Beijing-KL route? And then is the simulator with the captain, is there such a route program into the simulator? Thank you.
First, I can just confirm that the ACAS system was turned off just off Kota Baru, and at Igari was the transponder. On whether it is a common thing, the second part of the question.
That's a normal flight. Normally, the Malaysian air traffic controller will hand over basically the flight to the Vietnamese air controller at Igari. It was just about the handing over point when we lost radar contact.
Yes, sir. I'm Encik Ahmad Jahari. I'm Idil from BFM Radio 89.9. My question is, pilots already go through psychological tests before they join. Will MAS relook into the sort of tests they undergo? And second part, what are steps that MAS will take to reassure passengers about their safety on board flights?
Well, first, the psychological test, the psychometric, psychomotor test and all that is a standard procedure for pilot recruitment. They must go through that test. In terms of going forward, we will obviously look into all this and see whether we can strengthen, tighten all the various entry requirement examination. As far as ensuring going forward, we are right now on what we call Code Tango. That's an internal code, which means it's heightened security code. That means that we look at every possible security leaks or shortcoming. So going on board MAS flight is really a heightened security environment right now.
Yes, sir. Your question.
When we were discussing earlier regarding the two Iranians that traveled on stolen passports, the manifest was forwarded to the Chinese authorities and it was cleared. But as early as only a few hours ago, I've asked the Chinese intelligence and authorities to relook, re-intensify to the list that they have with them. With that possibility, but at the moment we don't find anything to corroborate what was said earlier.
Okay, sir.
Hi. This is Anshuman from Reuters.
Hi.
For the DCA of the MAS CEO, can you please confirm if the plane's emergency location transmission system ELPS was working before the flight, or if not, that would be controlled only by the ground staff. Do you have any information on the DLPS account of this aircraft?
For any aircraft before takeoff, all systems must be made, especially the emergency system must be serviceable. So that's one of the major items that we check before flight. So that's going to be.
Sorry, can you please answer, was this working or not? Because it needs to be checked, that's fine. But do we have any information? Was this on or was this off?
Every emergency item, like the emergency locker terminal, will always put on arm, and it will trigger when it touch water or it is crash, the aircraft crash. So it's always on arm.
Okay, please, sir. Your question, one with the mic.
Yeah, the Washington Post. For any of you, have you been able to determine if any passengers attempted or succeeded in making cell phone calls or placing text messages after the plane rerouted towards the west?
I have not.
Have not attempted or have not been able to find?
Well, so far we have not had any evidence from any what called telephone company of any number they're trying to contact. But anyway, we're still checking. There are millions of records that they have to process. Right? It's being done as part of the investigation.
Okay. Yes, sir. Your question, please.
There's been some speculation that some of the people on the passenger manifest, other than members of the crew, may have had training in flight simulation in some way, may have been aerospace engineers. Can you tell us any truth to that, if that's a likely inquiry?
Well, the passenger manifest has been passed over to the police to check on each, the background of each passenger. We know the background of the crew, but we are checking. The police is doing investigation on the background of passengers.
Yes, sir.
John Sparks from Channel 4 News in the UK. Do you believe that the person who said, "All right, good night," from the cockpit was the pilot or co-pilot?
Initial investigation indicated it was the co-pilot who basically spoke the last time it was recorded on tape.
Do you have a recording of that?
The recording is with air traffic control.
What have you found? Have you analyzed it for stress?
That is part of our
The investigation.
We cannot reveal.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Hi, sir. I'm going to need you to be very specific here. Can you tell us what time was the ACARS disabled and what time is the pilot's, as you say, co-pilot's communication to the air control tower